Hey, what's happening guys, and welcome back to Basic Benjamin. Today I'm going to explain to you 4 quick and easy tips that I use to shoot inorganic objects. Inorganic objects are anything like products, buildings, cars, and today I'm going to be using my Audi A3 sedan to show you how I pretty much shoot inorganic objects and what to look out for, what lighting to use, as well as what to expect when you're taking the shots so that you can describe it to your audience. So let's get right to it. Let's start with framing. Framing is one of the most key and most important things to shoot when shooting one of these cars. I'm in a 1/3 perspective. Now what a 1/3 perspective is basically I'm just off to the side. So this is dead center, that's 1/3, that's 1/3. So anything where you can split your screen into thirds and you can put your object, say for instance me or the car, in the background correctly. So if you look at this shot behind us, we have this S3 faced right in the middle of this alleyway. So you can see the 2 buildings on either side. Anything with rigid shapes and rigid angles will pull your eye to the center. Obviously if I shoot like this, you can see the subject in the background. Also there's a huge depth of field, especially while shooting like this. The car is blurry, background is even more blurry, and I am in focus. This is one thing that you've got to consider when shooting cars or when shooting any organic object, because you've got to remember that you want your audience to be engulfed by the image. 2, which is lighting. Now I'm going to give you 2 key factors when shooting cars of any nature. Is when you're shooting, especially with lighting, you got this thing called the golden hour. Now the golden hour has 2 times of day: early in the morning or late in the afternoon, meaning when the sun is rising as well as when the sun is setting. Why is this important? Well, it's the golden hour. So in the morning your light is nice and cool. So if you want to get a cool effect to all of your images, a blue undertone, morning shots. Want to get a nice warm shot, take it in the afternoons. Obviously the sun has gone through the day, and now because it is setting, it just tends to be more orange, more yellow. If you want to shoot on a day like today, which is completely cloudy, you must also remember it's like a massive softbox in the sky. Because there's no sun, it's obviously hitting the cloud and just dispersing everywhere. So if you guys don't know what a softbox is, it's basically when you put a white sheet or a sheet over a very bright light. It really makes the shadows nice and soft, but it also brings out a ton of contrast. So try shoot on cloudy days, especially when it comes to cars, buildings, or anything of that nature. Reason being is because it just makes the shadows a lot softer and also brings the contrast out completely. Third, what I want to speak to you guys about is when you come to shooting a car, a lot of guys don't get this, but if you see in every single car photography or every single form of car photography, each car has what they call a shoulder. Like people, we can always show emotion. So you can see when a person is sad, when a person is happy, but with a car, it's obviously it's an inanimate object, and what that is basically it cannot show its own emotion. So what you have to do is you have to purvey it through light, scene, setup, and obviously to bring the characteristics out of the car. Now one thing that every single car shares is a shoulder line. Now what a shoulder line is basically just under the window, and what this does is it'll direct your eye from the front to the back or the back to the front. It'll separate the bottom of the car from the top of the car. So what you want to ideally do is bring that line into every single shot of yours. Reason being is because it will help the audience see the lines of the car. If the car is aggressive, if it's smooth, if it's a casual car, or if it's something that your grandmother would buy. And that's the way that you're going to bring it out. That's the way that every single car photographer or people that take photographs, they set it up so that the shoulder of the car is at the best contrast. Finally is depth of field and that bokeh effect. Now what that is, you can see the background is super blown out, and obviously the foreground, if I was further away from the camera, would obviously be blown out as well. What this will do is it will give a depth of field and it will give a sense of focus and direction. Obviously if I'm in complete focus and the background is blown out, it obviously means that I am the subject. But if I turn this and actually go so that the car is in focus and the background is, then obviously that becomes the focus. So a good image is something where the subject, the car for instance, would be in complete clarity, so it won't be blown out at all. The background will be extremely blurry, and the foreground will also be quite blurry. Also have a bokeh effect, especially if you're shooting at night. And what this will do is it'll just direct your audience to look at the car, so the subject. is one of the amazing things about shooting in the afternoon is you get this. Now this is when the sun comes through whichever cloud it will be and it completely floods the image. Now we've parked it over just a bit of water just so we can get a little bit more of an effect on it, a little bit more of a reflection, and the water is absolutely still, so the reflection is as clear as looking straight at the car. Now this is one of the aspects of shooting cars that is huge. When guys get it to look like this, these are what they call the money shot. All the lighting just works on the one side of the car where we're shooting. We shoot towards the sun. You can pump it up in Photoshop, and what this will do, it'll bring out all the detail in the car because obviously it's going to be quite dark in the front, and then the back is obviously going to have all its key lights. So the sun is going to be flowing over the car. We're going to get really nice flares off of the car, but also because it's so cloudy, it means that there's not going to be any pinging shots, meaning that there's not going to be any oversaturated, extremely bright areas on this car. And the great thing about this is that these shots, almost every single shot looks good. For instance, let me show you guys. Okay, so we are currently now shooting downstairs. So we've come down one level now into the basement so we can get a real nice basement shot. And the light is pouring in from behind you, as you guys can see. So it's really cool. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do a long exposure shot tonight to see what we can obtain. And then what we're gonna do around it is we're obviously gonna shoot one shot of the car and then integrate it with another shot. And whilst doing that, we're gonna light paint. So we're gonna be able to take a shot of the front bumper with say an LED on it, then do the rear, the middle, the back, and essentially build this image with different lights and different angles, and then at the end of the day we're going to bring it all together in Photoshop. Let me know if you guys want to see a vlog on that. Alright, so we've taken a bit of a break with shooting this car right now because we just want to quickly explain to you something small. When it comes to shooting cars like this, you always got to concentrate on the characteristics of the car. So this is just an A3. It doesn't need this grungy, hardcore effect to it. All it needs is it needs to have simplicity and life. And essentially, an A3 is what your mom and dad or you as a father or son would want to buy for essentially your family. It's a good car, it's good on fuel. It helps you get from A to B, but it's not about getting from A to B extremely quickly. So essentially, why should you bring across that in any of your images? Essentially, why do you want to bring across that it's an S model when it's really not? So you don't have to have this hectic, grungy, insane effect to it. All you need to have is you need to have a really nice, well-lit shot. And at the end of the day, you're just trying to portray the message that you're a damn good photographer and this is a damn good car to buy. You're not trying to sell it that it's a sport model because, well, it isn't. So remember, when taking shots, you're always trying to take it according to your subject. So if it's an A3, you'll take it as a lifestyle thing, but if it is essentially an S3 or an RS3, you'll take it as something as a small sports car, and you'll take your pictures accordingly. So remember, every single picture differentiates depending on what kind of car or what your subject essentially is. I hope that helps. So to finish off this vlog, we were chased away from the area that we were shooting for the day. We found a pretty amazing area not too far away from that, but we did night shots, and this was the first time that I have, with any camera of mine, shot in the dark and done long exposure shots, done light painting in general. I think I'm in love with this medium. These are the shots. So I just wanted to say thank you so much to Audi South Africa for supplying us with that beautiful Vegas yellow A3, as well as Elmir from a project for shooting with me. It was such an awesome experience. It was so good to have you here. I'll link all of their social platforms down below. You'll probably be seeing some of the work coming out on Audi's profiles, as well as Elmir's, as well as mine. So make sure to comment, interact, give a like, give a follow, as well as I hope this helped you guys in some way. Let me know in the comment section below if this helped at all. And if you guys would like to see more of these are like a different format that I'm just busy trying out. Thank you once again for stopping by. I really do appreciate your time. Hope this helped you in the next one.